Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
You get a mega tyranny, historically, every time government and institutions are not held accountable. Soon, at every level, criminals invade and take over the system and are above the law. An absolute hell on earth then unfolds. And we are beginning to see this. You know, it clicked this morning for me when John Bound, one of the news producers, said, Alex, you know there's all these reports for decades, living here in Texas, Arizona, California, you name it, that they use teenagers as mules to run the drugs back and forth. And you always hear about teenage girls from Houston or Austin who are Hispanic going down to Mexico wanting to get rich, getting raped and killed, wanting to become mules. And when Bounds said that, I'm like, you know, one of my Border Patrol sources actually sent me an email this morning saying, Alex, look into these people being mules and the major flood being a cover for the mules. And look to see cocaine, heroin, you name it, flooding the streets. And then John Bound walks in here about 15 minutes ago and goes, Alex, they're mules. We've got news reports about the drug cartels completely operating openly with their drug houses across the border, and now the Border Patrol's been told to stand down. And we have the news report. One of them out of Texas, another out of Arizona. Cartel control, house on the border of Nogales, Arizona, CBS News. The police, the sheriffs, the Border Patrol now say they've lost full control. The globalists are gangsters, folks, and they control Los Zetas and other major cartels. That's come out in mainstream news. The criminal elements of our government are literally testing to implode the country. This isn't the full implosion, but this is the detonator. The blasting cap is now detonating. They are now, I have all mainstream news, they are now publicly shipping illegals to bases all over the United States, in Massachusetts, in Washington, in Tennessee. The New York Times is reporting that they're not letting any media in. Well, guess what? We just went on the base yesterday. And I can't come up with a headline sensational enough to match reality. But here's the headline. Immigration shelter photos that are new, we got. Feds treat illegals better than veterans. And it shows the HEB food trucks coming in, the workers there as butlers for the illegals that are complaining that their eggs aren't hot enough. And the fact that the Latin American newspapers are saying, come to America, this is the time. And then we've confirmed, and Kit Daniels, who was up all night already working, he's working on another story. He went with Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs and Josh Owens down to the military base where they're keeping 2,000 illegals, just one of scores of bases in San Antonio alone doing it. They went down and went on the base. The public information officer wouldn't let them on. And so they just went on, like journalists are supposed to do. And there's a base within a base where they have these privacy screens so you can't see the hordes of people. Well, we just stuck our cameras through the holes. And, man, we need screenshots of all this. I mean, I know a lot of this is new HD. Guys, get Josh to get screenshots right now and have the crew with captions, because I know they weren't able to add captions. Something was wrong with the site this morning when he posted at 6 a.m. I got up and saw it go live right at 6 a.m., called Kit, and I said, you just went there last night. You're up right now. He goes, yeah, I've been up all night. And I go, that is awesome, brother. But he's doing it all himself. We need to get those screenshots. I know Josh stayed up late to get that video we just showed for TV viewers. We need to get that up on YouTube with a voiceover. I'll do that live on air coming up. And then we need to get this new video that's even more powerful than the still shots we've got up in the article, because this story should go viral. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, the 12th day of June, 2014. And to say we've entered the Twilight Zone squared is an understatement. I'm going to attempt to cover all the news here today. And we have the former top Secret Service agent running for Congress, Dan Bongino, popping in to give us his take on the lawlessness of the open border, the open funding of al-Qaeda, and so much more. And, of course, the big wins all across the country of Tea Party candidates in primaries for Congress, governorships, you name it. So he's going to be joining us. And then you're going to hear never-before-heard J.R.R. Tolkien audio talking about the New World Order from the 1950s. So that is coming up as well today. We've been contacted by folks that have been sitting on the interview, filmmaker in Europe, since the mid-1950s. In fact, guys, I had my data sheet when the broadcast started. I can't find it here in the whirlwind of news that's come in since. Please give me a reprint of that data sheet on Tolkien, but also the sheet you gave me, Nico. Thank you. So just part of this recording has made international news when reporters were allowed to hear some of it. We're talking lost poems, everything. This is going to be sensational. And we're only going to play a little bit of it today. They want to air more of it in the weeks to come here. Premiering, I mean, Tolkien recordings are rare, folks. There's not a lot of them. This is Tolkien talking about who really runs the world. This is amazing. J.R.R. Tolkien explains Lord of the Rings in legendary recording, and it all starts here today. Again, the Twilight Zone level just went up a couple more. It's kind of like Spinal Tap. They go, yeah, but this amplifier goes up to 11. They go, why don't you just have it say 10? But 11's higher. Oh, the weirdness of it all. More and more, I'm speechless. I'm going to be frank with everybody. It's not just everything the globalists are doing is over the top. It's that the establishment in plain view, engaged in a giant con artist game, sits up there inverting reality. I was watching CNN and MSNBC this morning while I was on a elliptical. It gets me so angry I can go for like an hour fast watching it. It's better than listening to rock and roll, but it makes me angry. I was real angry after I got off. In fact, I shouldn't have watched it. I realize I've been real angry lately because I've been watching The Enemy in the morning to analyze them, and they're just so sick, so narcissistic, so dishonored. Just hell would be being locked in the room with MSNBC crew for eternity. I mean, I just the miscreant, craven, stunted will to power that these people engage in, and their unbowed fascism. Ugh. I'm having flashbacks, but to this morning. And they were going, the Tea Party's discredited. They're done. They're dead. It's all over for them. They, just elected this new Tea Partier, or he just won the primary, David Bratt in Virginia, bringing down Canner. Oh, my gosh, can you believe how ridiculous all this is? I mean, these people are real kooks. Boy, this is going to discredit the Republicans forever. When they're all in their eyes scared to death, this is exactly what the Republican and Democratic leadership have circled the wagons the last few years, giving more money collectively than Republicans and Democrats spend to fight each other, to kill the libertarian takeover of the Republican Party. We've always said we need a third party, but as Ron Paul pointed out, the best strategy is to take over a major party. And that's happening. So there's a race to the finish here, and the system knows that, so they're busy auditing everybody in the Tea Party, harassing everyone, sending the FBI to people's houses, arresting filmmakers, arresting governors for no reason, a reign of Soviet-style terror that makes Richard Nixon look like an angel. All of this is going on. And you've got the dinosaur media up there implying that the Tea Party's destroyed and discredited, and now they're having headlines like, well, we thought they were dead, but are they? Again, the Tea Party is the hottest thing in the United States and worldwide. They have Tea Party-style groups taking over areas of France, England, winning all the major local, EU, and countrywide elections, set within another election to take Europe and turn off the EU, set within another 2-year cycle election to take the UK. They have Tea Party-style groups in Ireland, in Scotland, declaring independence. They've got them in Reykjavik, Iceland, Spain, Greece, Italy, everywhere. They've got Tea Party members of parliament in Italy going to Bilderberg meetings and getting beaten up. And then the state police respond by coming in and backing them up and letting them go in and threatening to start arresting people in the hotel. And then Bilderberg Group members the next morning on Saturday, never before, helicopters were flying them out because the police at the state level turned against them in Switzerland. We were there. I mean, we're getting close, ladies and gentlemen. You know the story of William Tell and the Swiss? It's a true story. The apple, the whole 9 yards. The Swiss are like the Texans of Europe. And ladies and gentlemen, the police 2 years ago, now 3 years ago in Switzerland, Paul Watson was there covering it in HD when the Bilderberg security beat up the member of the Italian parliament who marched in there. The state police showed up and marched in and said, we'll start arresting you, and said, you will talk to this delegation. And we had a whole bunch of the canton leaders from all over the country, the state leaders who actually run Switzerland. Their federal government's weak. The states run it, the cantons, marched in, and the Bilderberg people have started evacuating. And it was so epic, it took me a few days to figure out what had just happened. My point is, it can be like Ceausescu in Romania. These people could fall in hours if we want them to. I'm not saying they're going to fall in hours today. It's a figure of speech. There will come times when tyrants fall in hours, when Babylon the Great falls in an hour. And the merchants of the earth who trafficked in men's souls will beat themselves on their breast and say, Babylon, Babylon the Great, it has fallen in 1 hour. These worldly people are the losers, ladies and gentlemen, not the winners. It's easy to cheat and get ahead until the termites eat through the foundation and everything collapses. It's easy for cancer to grow and take over the body and think it's winning until it kills the host. So epic. And it hit me like a ton of bricks today. I mean, I know we've been saying it, but it hit me so strong. It's real. They are imploding the entire border. And advertising in Mexican newspapers and on NPR. We're doing a story on this right now. NPR has had a show the last week they've been airing where they raise money to send money to think tanks in Mexico to give the kids money, plane tickets, and bags and sack lunches to fly them to the United States and to bust them to the border and stage them where the illegals are just pouring across whole hog and effectively like a blitzkrieg Nazi invasion of France, we are completely overrun. I mean, we are witnessing dizzying treason. I mean, treason isn't even a strong enough word. And no one in history has had traitors inside their government do something like this. There's never been a war like this. This is so high-tech and sophisticated. As the power plants are turned off, as the Obamacare shuts down the small businesses and bankrupts the blue-collar workers with payroll tax increases, and it's all called liberal because it's a supposed black guy as the figurehead. And Obama announces on CBS News, I just got chills 2 nights ago, that he wants to look at executive orders for Australian gun bans of everything down to single shot. I mean, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then they got the nerve to announce today, Boehner comes out and says, you're weak, Obama. Iraq's going up in smoke and you're sleeping, close quote. Obama's not sleeping. Now, there's the RT headline. Obama cites Australian gun confiscation program as example for U.S. Red alert. Red alert. That's Reuters. Red alert. 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 RT. Reuters now reporting gun confiscation plan. Red alert. Red alert. And then they publicly are funding al-Qaeda to take over Iraq while claiming they're fighting them. Red alert. Immigration shelter photos. Feds treat illegal aliens in San Antonio Air Force Base better than veterans. And we're going to have Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs in studio, who was down there with Kit Daniels, who wrote this article. And we're adding more HD video still shots to it, shot through the privacy fence. Inside the base, they have this whole area with fences up, and the press isn't allowed in. Breitbart has had a mole in Houston at one of the major distribution centers around the country, getting some photos out. We went in and got some of the only other photos. Mainstream media is basically engaged in a blackout of actual photos and real journalism. They're just spinning it like how sweet Obama is, taking care of the illegal kids or the immigrant children. And then NPR, we got a report coming out on this afternoon, has a promo going on all its shows to raise money, taxpayer-funded radio, to ship the kids from all over the world here as America implodes. And veterans are living on the streets everywhere. I'm talking about veterans that don't have drug problems. That's going on. But the illegals, the teenagers, are just pouring in, and then Obama could say they're children. In fact, he came out and said, this is part of our new DREAM Act. Come to El Norte. No one has ever done this. This is the federal government directly encouraging and helping ship in teenagers to be put directly on the federal welfare breast, the federal mammary gland, with taxpayer money to then be obedient servants to ban guns at the voting booth. I mean, it's here. And this is just the beginning. So many tens of thousands are pouring across a day. We've had Border Patrol agents send us reports that have been published that Drudge has carried and others, that this is the beginning. This is just the breakdown of the border. Once it fully collapses, collapsed, failed Mexico can fully collapse the U.S. Cloward and Piven, Agenda 21 will be complete. Total bankruptcy of the U.S. Driving down wages, taxes so high, blue collar can't work, shutdown of everything. But they've still got enough factory farms that will get government contracts and fiat money like HEB and Walmart. So they'll make money feeding the mass as we go from 50+% not working and being dependent to 70, 80%. They will then vote to take the 20% middle class money, gone. The ladder to wealth, gone. The globalists will sit in Luxembourg and in London and in Vienna. And they will sit in the major cities of Switzerland, exempt from everything, laughing as this country and Europe go down. Remember what Tony Blair got caught doing? They would open the tunnel up for years, the tunnel, let illegals in France in a secret deal with France. This came out. I remember reporting on this in the late 90s, but years later came out it was a secret plan. Tony Blair's secret plan to bring in illegals. To bring in illegals by the millions over his, what was it, 8-9 years of tenure. And the French would stage it with the UN at the train stations, load the trains, and then the Border Patrol at the outside of the tunnel would turn their backs, videos of this, as the people yelling and celebrating as invading armies from Eastern Europe, Asia, Africa, you name it, unskilled, diseases, criminals, you name it, giant flotillas of Romanian gypsies, you name it, pouring in mass. And within years, they are CPS workers and police. And I've had members of the British Parliament on from the Liberal Party admitting that, not just UKIP. When the CPS comes to a UK person's house, they don't even speak English. And they come from countries where they take kids. You give them trouble, they whistle, and an armored vehicle pulls up, guys jump out with machine guns. They're now arming the police. Your kids are gone. And I know Americans that have gone to England and had their teenage kids taken. That's a big scandal. You go to Britain, they may take your kids. Folks, we're hitting red level evil. They do what they want when they want. And it's on. It's on. Veterans get death panels. Veterans don't get surgery. Veterans get put on a list and have their guns taken. I mean, I run into veterans that are well-spoken and really nice people when I've been down shooting videos. I mean, super clean-cut, smart people, black, white, Hispanic, you name it. And they all ride bikes, they live downtown, bicycles, and they're homeless. Totally open borders. You didn't build your business. Raising the debt doesn't raise the debt. The government publicly set up bases in western Iraq in the last 3 years to run attacks into Syria. That's on record. Now Al-Qaeda is taking Fallujah to Crit, and they're saying, oh, we may have to send back U.S. troops to fight Al-Qaeda. When Al-Qaeda was put there by NATO. Oh, and our troops will fight and die, and the contractors will fight and die. Real Al-Qaeda, they'll really be killing them. But they're funded and trained, and the door is open by the criminals that run our government. That's what I'm explaining to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. There's the headline. Iraq gives Obama green light to commence kinetic support against Al-Qaeda. And how do you explain to the public that it's on record that those bases were set up 3+ years ago by 3 known actual Al-Qaeda groups? One of them even calls himself on their black flag the Bin Laden Brigade. And they set up bases in Turkey for him as well. And they launched chemical attacks to blame Assad and got caught. And now it's mainstream news that large parts of Iraq are falling to them because the Iraqi government didn't go along after the, quote, liberation 10+ years later, started doing things the way that they wanted to. Trying to set up a secular government again? No, no, you don't. Saudi Arabia runs the Middle East. They like Wahhabists. They're going to put Al-Qaeda in charge. And then people go, well, Alex, you don't want Iran taking over Iraq. See how crazy that is? Iran's taken over some Western areas with their infiltrators, but that's, why'd you get rid of Saddam? So that would happen. See, the globalists create the problem, and then they sit there and go, well, we got to wink, wink, put Al-Qaeda in because they're fighting Iran. What? What? And then the public doesn't even know the players? Shiite? Wahhabist? And then I checked, it's in the news, these illegal aliens, when they get off these planes, don't even go through customs. They're just taken directly by bus and given sack lunches to bases because they're honored guests. I mean, the federal government through NPR, this is breaking today, runs a PR program to raise money to give the kids the plane tickets to come here. I mean, this is incredible. If you're an old person, an old lady, whatever, and you don't pay your property taxes or you don't pay the income taxes, they will come, and if you hold up in your house, they will send a SWAT team in to shoot you. People, we got to be loving. You let the kids come here, pay for it. Oh, really? They'll kill Americans. I don't care what color you are if you don't pay their fake taxes to pay for these illegals. But then they use our big heart and say, come on, let's advertise that everybody in the world can come here. Now they're going, legalize all the illegals and let them come in. Or more are just going to come illegally. What do you think legalizing 30 million illegal aliens is going to do, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think that's going to do when they say they can then bring their other family members here and they're an anchor to bring them in. It's going to accelerate people pouring in, and that's exactly what's happened since Obama stopped enforcing immigration law and started stopping the deporting of people. Now there's an even bigger flood, and it turns out the criminal, occupied, mercilessly wicked federal government is orchestrating and running the whole thing and not letting the media in. Well, our people went in. Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs and others yesterday. We have photos being added at Infowars.com from the video still shots, updated immigration shelter photos. Feds treat illegal aliens better than veterans. Headline should probably be, reporters sneak in to illegal alien takeover command base. I mean, I've got the New York Times here admitting that they're deploying them to military bases from Massachusetts to Washington State. I mean, they are flying them everywhere, and they're staying. They're getting lawyers, and everybody else that's coming staying until this country goes completely bankrupt, which is the official Cloward and Piven plan. And they are going to be given driver's license. Most of them are 16 or older, and they're going to vote, and they're going to take our guns. And Obama is in Reuters and RT. We wrote about this days ago when he first said it. Mikhail Thalen did, and then RT and Reuters have picked it up. Obama cites Australia's gun confiscation program as an example for the U.S. Right here. And then we played the clip. I mean, this is here. This is happening. The time for denial is over, ladies and gentlemen. This is an illegitimate government, and if they want to call me a terrorist for saying that, fine. You people are violating every law up one side and down the other. I'm not funding al-Qaeda. I'm not paying to bring illegal aliens here and house them at bases to then be fenced out to the local La Raza groups. I am not shipping narcotics in like this giant mule operation. That's definitely what it is. I mean, our country, folks, it's called being overrun, to use a military term. We are completely overrun, and it's all over Latin America. The planes are loading with the children. I put a tweet out today on Real Alex Jones that I think says it all. If you go to Real Alex Jones, scroll down for me, guys. Thank you. I said, George Washington launched our republic, and Obama's killing it. We have come full circle. Obama is a great man. He is the America slayer. By the way, Stalin was a great man, great at being evil, but he was great. Genghis Khan was great. Adolf Hitler was great. Great doesn't mean good. Just means they were big. They did it big. Obama is a great man because you can say whatever you want. He was the figurehead when you can say they brought this country down. I want to read the other little quote I came up with and put out. Intercourse in Mexico leads to the birth of a new American citizen. Intercourse in the United States leads to another abortion. The state is God. We're told our children, born in this country, are trash. Yuppies are told, and middle class are told, kill that baby. I mean, you think about what, the globalists hate this country. I mean, we are being destroyed right now. And guess what? They get away with this, sky's the limit. I keep saying it. Notice each level gets 10 times worse, and then it's going to get 10 times worse and 10 times worse. And Obama, they're going to stage some mass shooting in a school, guaranteed, and they're going to announce, I'm sorry, I'm signing an executive order, effective immediately. All semi-autos will be turned in within 1 month to your local Homeland Security Center. Those not complying will be arrested. And they're going to send armored vehicles out, folks, and the Civil War is going to explode like a fiery mushroom cloud. And then they're going to blame the people that don't turn their guns in, the 1776ers, for the Civil War. These criminals have started, and then they're going to use the illegal alien hordes fully, as Mexico collapses in a global depression, to just wash in by the tens of millions. And they've openly announced they're going to start arming them as the new national security force that'll be just as big and just as strong as our military, close quote. In fact, Obama said just again yesterday, these new children will be our dreamers for our military. And they're just taking them right in. You're the new military. This is so incredible. Obama, our future rests on the success of dream kids. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if I went to Mexico with my wife and said, I'm here, she's 9 months pregnant, she just broke her water, pay for it, they would literally laugh at you. Anyone else would in the world. Not us, folks. We are the biggest chumps that will put up with anything. Thomas Jefferson said the level of tyranny you will be under is the level you put up with. There is no limit. There is no limit when you get evil people in charge. Because when you don't restrain evil, the very worst evil will take over in a survival of the fittest social Darwin system. They will take over. You will get the most vicious. The worst king rat will rule. They will gut everything because it's what they do.
They are exactly the kind of people we would want in this country. They work hard. They love their country. They want to be school teachers. They want to serve in the military. They want to run businesses. They have innovative ideas. They are the best that we have. And the president's frustration with the fact that he couldn't get Congress to act on the DREAM Act just got to the point where he said, I'm going to have to do what I can do. Now, it's not a solution. It's a stopgap measure. They're not on a path to citizenship. They can stay here. Every 2 years they have to reapply. So it's not the solution. But you cannot look into the hearts of these young people and say there's nothing we can do when we actually did have the power to do something.
And that's who's running the federal government right there. Valerie Jarrett. I'm going to go to Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs in a moment with a first-person report with video and still images for TV viewers. Everybody else can go to Infowars.com and see the article, Immigration Shelter Photos. Feds treat illegal aliens better than veterans. I mean, this should go so viral. Inside the red carpet treatment of the illegal invaders. Inside the purposeful implosion of the republic. Before I go any further, I want to just remind you that this hour is brought to you by MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex. Super high-quality, storable foods. If you don't have storable food and aren't self-sufficient at this point in the game, you're insane. MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex or 866-229-0927. Great customer service, non-GMO. MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex to find the specials. Also, lastly, we have free $29.95 value wire stands available right now with all of the ProPure 2.0 water filters that cut out the glyphosates, the fluoride, all of it, annihilates the competition side by side. We have a limited supply of these, so take advantage of it today. Purify your water and help you and your family and help fund this broadcast. InfoWarsStore.com. We have it for all the models. Free when you get one of the units. We can go to the main page and show folks that special there at InfoWarsStore.com. It's when you get the filter, you get the wire stand. You can see on the side it's normally $29.95. InfoWarsStore.com. And, of course, you can find the best supplements out there from our research. Truly groundbreaking, nascent iodine, you name it, at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs is with us till 5 after next hour. Immigration shelter photos, feds treat illegal aliens better than veterans. $2 billion is being spent currently, just in the last 2 weeks, to fund the hundreds of thousands of illegal children that are filling up every major military base, Air Force, Army, you name it in the country. Inside of them, they put up these protective screens so you can't see what's happening. Dinosaur media, new media isn't allowed in. So we sent our reporters onto the base yesterday. The PAO said he wouldn't talk to us. We still went on, got the footage, had to put cameras through holes in the fence. They're trying to cover this up. and Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs is here to break this down. But this is about imploding the border, overwhelming the Border Patrol, and they're reporting today that's exactly what's happening. The head of the Border Patrol Union, Border Patrol agents that are sending us reports that have been published are saying it is a total collapse. Mules are pouring across with the drugs. The cartels are shooting and killing whoever they want. The lawlessness of Mexico is being allowed to implode into the U.S. Joe Biggs, you're a veteran. What is it like for you to go to the VA and see how horrible folks are being treated? You're bleeding in your lungs from being an APC that got blown up. They told you July till you can even get looked at. There's homeless veterans all over the streets of Austin. 20-plus commit suicide a day nationwide. But they're advertising that illegal aliens and their kids can come here and will be allowed to stay. I mean, this is so off the charts, Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs.
Well, they say it's this huge humanitarian crisis going on right now. You know, we got to feel bad for them. I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to go through the immigration process, and this is not the right way. You know, like you said earlier, any other country we go to, we would be kicked out immediately. You know, once our visas ran out, we would be kicked out immediately. And yet we're just bringing all these guys and we're spending $2 billion to feed them, to shelter them. They've got soccer goals out there and balls. They've got HEB trucks. And if you're not from Texas, HEB is a grocery store. And they had these huge refrigerated vans out there in a compound center with satellite dish on top, you know. And yet we've got veterans right now outside. We see them every day that don't have anywhere to go. You know, this money is not allotted to help these homeless veterans out. If these kids can stay there, why can't they bring these homeless vets in and let them stay there, give them a cot? You know, Senator Jim Einhoff, the ranking member of the Senate House Committee, thinks that this will only encourage more illegal immigrants to flood into the country and threaten our national security.
Well, I mean, it's like feeding pigeons in your backyard. You're going to get more pigeons. I mean, this is being done, not deporting anybody, letting felons go, rapists, murderers, to advertise, come here. We don't want engineers. We don't want scientists. We don't want the entrepreneurs of Mexico. We want your poor kids. We want your criminals. This is a time bomb to overwhelm the Border Patrol. By fiat, this is a false flag by the globalists to fully gut the border. And that's what the Border Patrol union head is saying. This is on purpose to implode the border.
So now we got Tony Benegas. He's the consul of Honduras in Arizona. And he said that the kids aren't happy with the burritos they're getting. Their eggs are too cold and it makes them sick. So now we've contracted out vendors to provide nutritional meals, recreational activities.
By the way, I've seen the food. It's a lot better than what the public school kids get. It looks like prisoner food.
Oh, I mean, it's way
Well, these are Democrat voters, man. Red carpet, filet mignon.
I mean, they're bringing better stuff. They got better food there than I have at my house right now, I'll tell you that. I mean, that pisses me off, and it should piss off a lot of people. You know, we're wasting money.
This is like a Monty Python skit where you tell the world, come here and we'll give you everything free.
We're the only country that does this. The only country.
But then, they, like you said, the media, gee, why is this happening? It's a crisis. Better pass the DREAM Act to legalize the kids. That's how you fix it. Let more come in. That'll stop this flood. Yeah, the dream is to give them more money and more food. That'll stop everybody.
Yeah, the dream is to have more voters go their way. the dream is to get these kids to come in.
And again, they've got, you know, these feds going, oh, they're hardworking, good people. 92% of the time, they vote commie. Yep. They vote to take my guns. These people are an army using the loophole of our voting system to make me a slave.
Yesterday in El Paso, they got one of the illegal immigrants. They released him. He is a convicted sexual offender in Mexico. They had to go back.
No. In the last 2 months, they released 63,000 aggravated felons, bro. We're talking child rapist and arsonist. And I go to the airport and act like I'm a terrorist. About half the public on record is in a zombie-like, dreamlike state from television. They're in a near-dreaming state. That's mainstream news. Very suggestible. And they just have no idea what planet they're on. And we have very vicious criminal syndicates running the country that launder the drugs, the money, that run the major sex operations. They're involved in hardcore crime globally. It's the big mega banks. And if they got us to sign on to 1.5 quadrillion of their debt, why shouldn't they overrun us with illegal aliens that'll vote to take our guns and give them driver's license in 10 different states? I mean, why shouldn't they? Americans are chumps that will put up with anything, a large portion of them. Those of us that are awake and going, man, this is crazy, we're actually pretty pathetic for putting up with it and not doing more, myself included. We're jellyfish compared to our ancestors, but we are the terrorist. We are the enemy. Homeland Security's for us. I just can't believe how far we've fallen, that they won't let any media on these bases. So we had to go on, even though the PAO refused to talk to us. We were still able to get on the base, and great job, Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, everybody else. If you go to the article up on Infowars.com, immigration shelter photos, we've added more video still shots if you're a radio listener. And you can see through the cracks in the fence, you know, the kids, the catering, all the minders. It looks like a big, camp or something. Looks like they've set up a summer camp. And no expenses being paid. They're saying $250+ a day per child. When there's Americans out there living on $25 a day, a lot of them. And, again, it's not because they care about the illegals, folks. They want to bankrupt everything. These are precious voters. And Staff Sergeant Biggs, we have some photos of homeless vets. I've run into homeless vets in Austin who are not drunks, who are in great shape, but you can talk to them. Obviously, they've got some PTSD or something. But you talk to them a lot, they go, yeah, I was in a lot of heavy combat, such and such, nobody will hire me, and I can't seem to get credit, but I'm working on it. And I've run into a lot of them, and it usually seems to be like heavy combat vets, or they've had a slight brain injury or whatever, and then now they've been listed by the Pentagon as having a problem, so no one will hire them. And I just see them all over the place. Nobody's giving them a free place to stay, bro.
It's ridiculous. I mean, these guys were hardworking. They served their country. They were promised benefits, and they're not getting them. You know, they're laying out there on the streets, but we're sheltering these kids. It just blows my mind. You know, a government that fails to secure its borders is guilty of dereliction of duty. A government that fails to take care of its men and women on the front lines is guilty of malpractice. A government that puts the needs of illegal aliens above U.S. veterans for political gain should be prosecuted for prosecuted for criminal neglect bordering on treason. I just think that is...
Who said that?
There was an article that I got from on townhome.com about U.S. veterans that were homeless.
But beyond that, see, it doesn't border on treason. This is when you lower your borders to foreign groups and pay them to come in to politically overthrow your enemies, that's called an invasion. This is classical warfare.
I mean, right now we have troops from other countries in Canada and in Mexico. We're this hand right here, America, is in the middle, and we've got troops, Russian troops in Canada and Chinese in the bottom, and there's closing in. You know, we're letting our borders open right now.
No, this is the takedown of America. And they admit the illegals are being allowed to do this to implode the border. Well, that's what the Border Patrol agents have been saying. There's all sorts of Al-Qaeda, you name it, just pouring across the border. We'll be right back. You know, we should add, too, this is Lackland Air Force Base that has at least 2,000 illegal alien children from Latin America there. And New York Times admits they're moving them all over the country to cover it up. Even the New York Times admits that. And it's all because they do catch and release. I mean, of course everybody's going to pour in. When if you get here now, you're legal and you get welfare immediately. You can sit on your butt for the rest of your life as long as you vote to take my guns.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed when we got to Lackland Air Force Base was the heightened security. You know, usually, well, for the Air Force, they have what's called security forces versus MPs. But these guys were strapping M4s over the chest. You know, that's usually you've got like a 9 or something like that, a Beretta on the side. These guys, heightened security, M4s around the chest, ready to go, you know, coming through. I thought that was kind of odd.
Is that because they were guarding gods?
Yeah, they're guarding America's new dreamers, apparently.
Other observations?
Well, it took a little bit to find it. We stopped and talked to a few airmen, some contract workers, and found our way over there to the area. And as we pulled in, it's actually right on the edge of one of the gates you go through. And on the other side, there was a hotel. We actually went up on that hotel and got some of that inside footage looking in. But they have these fences up all around it. They've got contracted people there taking out trash. They're buying really nice water, too. It was a nice brand of water, not the cheap, 50-cent bottles. It's probably more of, your $3 bottle Water.
But the military sat there for 4 days under orders at Katrina and didn't give water to people. So they were ordered to not give it out. That came out in the news. But the illegals, they get everything.
Oh, they get everything. I mean, they're probably eating lobster tails right now, you know? I mean, they were out there singing songs, playing soccer. I mean, having a better time than I have. I mean, it's just it's a misappropriation of funds. We're spending all this money, and it shouldn't be going to them. I mean, we've got problems right here in America we can't even fix, and we're dumping all this money into that.
Well, these are the future voters.
I just don't get it. We got 529,000.
Can you imagine Mexico saying, get here, Americans, and you're legal, and we'll pay for everything?
I can't imagine that at all. You know, right now we got 529,000 to 840,000 veterans homeless right now on a given day, without a place to stay, without anything at all, and no one does anything for them. Nothing at all.
Homeland Security says veterans are the #1 terror threat. They're the enemy. You don't give the enemy any help.
Yeah, I just don't know what our government's coming to nowadays. It's you know, like I said, when I joined, I joined with a pure thought that I was going to be serving my country, you know, and that I was going to get my college paid for and have these benefits when I got out, you know, and then you get out and you realize it's just a big scam. You know, we're dumping all this money, and it looks like a FEMA camp proving ground.
Well, that's the angle nobody's looked at yet. They had a plan to legitimize FEMA camps. And they said, we'll use a wave of immigrants from Latin America as the pretext to roll out these bases. And then during an economic collapse, they'll already be there, and the ideal will be sold. So see how we're kind of saying, hey, our vets need help like this. That's actually kind of the plan. Oh, you will get the help now.
I mean, Fort AP Hill's got that, military base that's trained to fight people here. And then you got these camps. I mean, it's all coming together full circle.
I've got the article here in my stack. Let me see if I can find it, where the New York Times admits today that they're flying the illegals in all over the country. Here's Joe Biden. U.S. needs consistent, unrelenting stream of immigrants. Yeah, but not ones with leprosy or that have no job or bankrupt. Homeland Security Chief Jeh Johnson admits for need for border reform, which means more open borders. Border Sheriff likens influx of illegal immigrants to Hurricane Katrina. And then here in one of my articles, I'm going to find it in just a second, they literally has the New York Times admitting there's a cover-up of how many are here and where they're going, and that the media is not allowed to go into it. And meanwhile, I have this article out of Reuters, and also RT's reporting it. Obama cites Australian gun confiscation program as example for U.S. I mean, that should be heart attack level announcement. He's saying, I may use an executive order outside of law. He's already doing this with the illegals. We're going to have more on the Nightly News tonight, more of the HD footage up on Infowars.com. Good job. Waging war on corruption, crashing through the lies and disinformation. Dan Bongino, who I would call a true patriot, Tea Party type candidate, not running from that label, is just absolutely 99-1 against his opponent. And is, barring any plane crashes or whatever. And believe me, Obama doesn't like him, so that's a serious issue. Dan Bongino is probably going to end up being in Congress. And it's because he doesn't run from liberty, and he doesn't sit there and mince his words that he's so popular. And, of course, he was the top Secret Service agent on the foreign details and was a rising star in the whole operation, but had to resign because he could not be part. He's told the story many times, so I'm just recapping it. He can put it in his own words if he wants to. He would not compromise. And he said he was hearing things and seeing things, working for Obama, that were so immoral and so bad and so anti-American that he couldn't sleep at night. Since he left a few years ago, he's been broken into, his office, you name it. His car has been messed with. He's been harassed. He's been threatened. They might arrest him like Dinesh D'Souza. They might arrest him like the governor, former governor of Virginia. I mean, folks, this isn't a game, okay? You got a crooked toenail, they're going to arrest you. And I'm not going off of that angle here, to try to be melodramatic. This is happening, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not going to get into the stuff that goes on around here, but, I mean, it's Creepville, okay? Feds going and talking to people that know me, family, you name it, trying to intimidate them, trying to freak them out. Obama is doing things that have never been done. I mean, it makes Nixon, who did, had a list of 100 people, just a list of their income tax, and he had to step down finally because of that. We're talking about auditing and harassing the Tea Party, pro-life groups, I mean, this is a criminal takeover. And we've got Dan Bongino to the bottom of the hour running for Congress, and he needs more support because the electronic voting machines, you name it. I've talked to all the electronic voting machine experts, like Bev Harris and others, who's got the HBO special, Hacking Democracy. And she said it's landslides that the vote fraud people can't beat. So Bongino should win with 90% because the backlash is so big. He'll probably win with 60%. So we've got to have like 50 points on the board just to win the football game. We've got to have 50 extra points because they're going to cheat so much. You understand? It's an uphill battle, but we can win it. Sometimes it's easier to win an uphill battle than a downhill battle. That's what makes us stronger, as Nietzsche said. So I wanted to cover the waterfront with him. And as a former federal law enforcement officer, what does he make of telling illegals we're going to release you, even aggravated felons, child rapists, bank robbers, you name it, 60-something thousand in the last 2 months, cutting almost all the deportations, red carpeting to hundreds of thousands of illegal kids, thousands per military base. The border has imploded. The head of the Border Patrol Union came out again today, it's on Infowars.com, and said this is designed to implode the border. Well, of course it does. It isn't a humanitarian crisis. It is a takeover. And I want to see what Dan Bongino, with his highly informed former New York cop as well, before he became a Secret Service agent, what he sees from his perspective of what this is, because saying our military's under NATO, funding al-Qaeda to attack Syria, now they're taking over Iraq with the weapons, that's on record. Fast and Furious, not getting in trouble for that. I mean, I'm living in a twilight zone here. What is happening, Dan?
Yeah, Alex, it's, you know, as I said in a previous interview I had done, I think it's worse than people really know. Now, your audience is pretty informed. I knock on a lot of doors, and especially out in Western Maryland, you have a big support base out there. A lot of folks know me from your show out there. But, not many are. There are a lot of other folks out there that really don't understand the level of lawlessness going on. It is absolutely unprecedented. I mean, we have Jonathan Turley, a liberal professor who absolutely supports liberal priorities and legislation, saying, this is the president that Nixon always wanted to be. It's like there's so many leaks in the House, you're running out of fingers to plug the leaks with, and no one knows where to start. It's so bad, Alex, that the two liberal senators here in Democratic, very blue Maryland, very liberal senators, Mikulski and Cardin, they just had a statement, one of them, I think it was Cardin, put out, where the citizens of Baltimore City, pretty liberal city by anyone's standards, came out and said, no, we can't take these the illegals here. They're trying to put them up in an empty building in Baltimore City, and they're saying, we can't even take care of our own city. This isn't some kind of a hotel over here, folks. We have to clean up our own neighborhoods first, take care of our own problems. I mean, that's how out of control it is. They're even losing, not just Democrats, they're even losing liberals. I mean, if that doesn't speak to a level of unprecedented, intentional legislative chaos, then I don't know what else does. So we're in a dangerous time. And you're right, I'm glad you said that this isn't melodrama, because people, don't be melodramatic. No, be melodramatic, folks. I'm telling you, I saw a lot of this stuff on the inside, the wheeling and dealing, and both of these parties selling, one party's selling you out to big business, the other one's selling you out to big government. It's like a horse trade, who's going to cut us the bigger check when we vote this way? I mean, it is really time to get out there at these voting booths and vote for liberty candidates who walk the walk, and everybody talks the talk, but who actually get out there and walk the walk.
What does it say, though, to the establishment that everyone's running away from Obama, but at the same time, he's doing everything he wants, acting as a dictator, as many constitutional lawyers have said? I'm not saying, again, he's going to stay in office and that he will be a de facto dictator forever. I'm saying the bureaucracy, the Democratic Party, is acting in a dictatorial, lawless way, whether it's, they admit it, violated dozens of federal laws to just release prisoners without the 30-day hearings with Congress. They're just doing whatever they want on every front, and the precedent's being set. What do you think the battle plan is with Obama? Because I've got to say this. He's much worse than I thought he would be. Yeah. And for the first time in my life, Mr. Bongino, I'm beyond scared. I am more shell-shocked right now that this is so over the top. I guess it's like finding out your neighbor's got 30 dead bodies in their backyard. It's just, A normal person, I don't think, I know why the public doesn't know what to do, because I don't know what to do. It's faced with this level of just foaming at the mouth criminality. What do you think we should do? And what are they thinking as there's a total resistance forming against them?
Well, listen, if I had a battle plan, and you're right, a lot of people don't know what to do, and it's no fault of theirs. It's just so much. You're being hit on 30 different fronts. You know, to steal a line from the left, their 30-front war, and they do this intentionally. You know, the Cloward pivot model, just overload the system. Here's what you do. Number one, we have to build public pressure. I say that a lot because I get the question all the time. You know, do you support Obama's impeachment? And I tell people, frankly, no, you haven't won the public case. And people say, what do you think? He hasn't broken laws? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to tell you, folks, is we have not built the public case yet. You are talking about a process, a legal process. It's like an indictment. That's what impeachment is. It's like an indictment for the president. You then have to try the case. You don't indict a case, you're not going to win. You don't. We haven't built the public pressure. That's number one. How do we do that? So here's the battle plan. We have got to find more whistleblowers. We have to find people on the inside, like me, willing to speak out and say, hey, folks, this is not right. And right now, what I don't understand, Alex, is where are the people in the DOJ, the FBI agents, within the DOJ administrative staff coming out and saying, hey, this IRS thing, we were sending, you know, they were sending confidential donor information to the DOJ. Where's the person saying, hey, I was the one who hit send, this isn't right, we got to change this? Where are the IRS agents speaking out and saying, hey, when I swore my oath, Alex, it was to the Constitution, not to anything else. You know, where are these folks? You know, and the third part of this process, so public pressure, you know, getting people on the inside to speak out. But the third part is we have to build an electoral presence, too. It's not just good enough anymore to vote for Republicans. Frankly, it's useless. It's almost destroying the cause because we get these squishes in there. They don't do anything, and then they tarnish the brand and make it even worse. It's time to start voting for liberty-oriented candidates who you hold to account. Don't put it, you know, don't make a golden calf out of anyone. We hold to account, but you can at least trust that they can talk the talk and walk the walk. You know, when they get out there and they shake your hand, they can look you in the eye, and you believe these people. They understand what's going on with the Fed. They understand, you know, Cloward pivot. They understand what's going on with why the Constitution was written as a document of negative powers by the government, what they can't do to you. You know, that's the kind of folks. We get through that three-step process. Eventually, we'll have something to do. But you know, you can't just say, oh, we got to impeach the president. Okay, you're going to lose, just like you did with Clinton. And then you know what happens? You make him more powerful. I mean, we have to have an actual tactical battle plan going forward, and just throwing out stuff like that without an actual plan to implement it is just a suicide plan.
Well, I agree with you, and you're actually technically right. As you know, the House indicts the president, the Senate then tries him. Right. And so you've got to actually go after him with more than just a intern. They wanted to go after him on the intern because it was isolated to just lying to a grand jury. It was isolated to only one issue that protected the political class. The truth is, if the Republican leadership wanted to go after him for Solyndra, or wanted to go after him for Benghazi or Fast and Furious or any of it, they could prove it and bring him down. But there's not the moral will, because it's a bunch of establishment rhinos. But as they get replaced, as we're about to see in this midterm election, as we just saw this amazing primary win by David Brat, I'd like you to speak to that, because bottom line, the Democrats are going for the full takeover right now. What's your take on Brat? B, and Republicans winning primaries all over the place as well. What do you think the establishment's going to do to try to counter that?
Oh, let me tell you something. Brat was a wake-up call, not just for our side, the grassroots liberty lovers out there, but you don't think they're going to take this lying down. This is like a UFC match where you think you're going to kick the guy's butt. All of a sudden, he wallops you in the face, and you're like, oh, boy, this isn't going to be as easy a fight as I thought. The establishment, I'm in D.C. all the time, meeting with grassroots warriors over there, doing God's work. They know for a fact that the establishment's now rearming again. They're not going to be, let me give you a quote from one of them, they're not going to be surprised again. So they are understanding that the people knocking on the doors and waving the signs are not with them. So they're going to go out and they're going to try and do what they always do. They're going to try to buy elections. They're going to try and put people like me down. They're going to try and put Chris McDaniel down. There's a John Carr in Tennessee. They're going to try and put folks down. They're going to try to suppress them because that's what they do. That's all they can do, Alex. They lost the people a long time ago. There's an insurrection going on in the Republican Party right now, and it's just hysterical too. How like the left, they just go along with their candidate randomly. Like you put a D in front of their name, and it's all good. It doesn't even matter what they stand for. And the media is in such a tizzy because they can't believe the fact that there are liberty-loving folks out there that actually care about liberty. They're like, what do you mean they didn't elect Eric Cantor? That's a surprise. He was their leader. No, he ain't my leader. I'm not. I don't subscribe to what I don't worship golden calves. Okay. He did not stand up for the people. He's not out there shaking the hands. He was not standing for the cause of liberty, and people didn't get behind him. I don't know why the media is so surprised. I think they're surprised because they don't have the values we do, and they don't understand that liberty actually matters because they believe in a redistributionist state run by the bureaucratic elites who sit there with their bow ties and tell us all what to do while we all go broke and they enrich themselves at our expense. Well, no more. Those days are over. I'm not subscribing to that. Not one more day.
Well, that brings me to my next point. We saw the tragic 2 police officers and a citizen killed. And if you even believe the official story, because who knows with the establishment these days, you got a guy with crazy Joker videos that looks completely mentally ill, into death cults with his girlfriend, just like you've got these other kids stabbing, little girls to death because, there's another comic book character they like. And they're trying to blame Ronald Reagan and Rand Paul and me and saying we're responsible when all I ever say is we don't want a violent revolution. We want a peaceful restoration. And I'm really concerned that Obama came out. It was on CBS 2 days ago. But here's the headline. Obama cites Australia's gun confiscation program as example for U.S. And now, if they actually try to have an executive order on some type of gun confiscation, say, of semi-autos, and if they try to send out armored vehicles like they're doing in California to confiscate guns, I mean, this is a powder keg, and I think if I was Obama and I wanted to take over, I would try to stir up the libertarian constitutional movement and try to push people into a corner. I mean, we see these headlines about veterans are the #1 terror threat with no evidence of that, no crime statistics to show that. What I'm getting at is it looks like they're trying to start some type of civil war.
Well, remember, the only way to get you in America, which is generally a country of good people, generally, I mean, we've been the most philanthropic country in the history of Earth, to really hate their neighbor and to vote against them is to demonize them and put them in the boxes, union, non-union, black, white, Hispanic, immigrant, man, woman, war on women. That's what the left does. Remember, the Republican Party generally, at least the good ones, they don't do that. They run on let's cut your taxes, let's defeat Obamacare, that kind of stuff. The left doesn't do that. The left runs on this agenda of this guy's not you, therefore you should not like him. Vote for me. I'll keep the not you away from you.
They vote on class warfare. They vote on division. They vote on racial strife. They are not liberals. I mean, I've got to say it. I mean, the Democratic Party is a pack of mentally ill criminals. Now, I'm not talking about their grassroots people. A lot of them mean well. But I've got to say, when you look at MSNBC and these people, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, because I knock on a lot of doors out there, and I knock on Democrats with high voter scores, people who show up. And believe me, a lot of them are frustrated, too. They're Democrats because their parents are. I mean, my mother's a Democrat, and she'll never vote Democrat again. She was a JFK Democrat. Those days are over. But, you brought up an interesting point, too, about them, pinpointing people like yourself and other talk radios. Oh, look what you guys did. But keep in mind, Alex, think of that. This is the hypocritical frauds these people in the media are. They never mention Floyd Corkins. Floyd Corkins, who shot up the Family Research Council, and
he said he did it because of the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's clear as day. The Southern Poverty Law, the biggest leftist kooks you've ever seen. Who, if you say anything about anything, if you are pro-life, you're a hate group, according to these nuts. This guy said. I read about the Family Research Council and their stance on gay marriage, and I didn't like. So he basically shot the place up. The media almost completely ignores the story, and yet you get these two psychopaths in Nevada who apparently were even kicked off that ranch. We were too nutty for the ranch out there, too. And all of a sudden, every conservative who's ever preached liberty and low taxes is somehow related. I mean, think about the utter stupidity of that. But that's the media. And I'll tell you what, I just ignore it. I know it's hard because they don't like you because you do something that scares them and that command attention. They don't want that. See, the media wants to monopolize the megaphone, and you got this guy coming up behind them saying, wait, I can do that too, and they don't like that. So they have to say, oh, be careful, they're dangerous. Don't look at these guys. But they don't admit their own role with Corkins, Jared Lee Loughner, even going back to Oswald. Oswald was a leftist.
Well, I mean, Dan, they're even trying now in the news, in fact, I'm looking for the article right here, to basically say that David Bratt is weird because he says Hitler could happen again. Well, I mean, of course tyranny can happen again. It happens most of the time. So I mean, again, it's like Obama saying and Biden at all these speeches and Kerry, come back to government. Believe in it again like it's a religion. Right. Trust it. It's the answer. Don't listen to people that warn about tyranny. Well, that's what America's all about.
Yeah. They'll pick Brad apart. Anything he said, because they are so desperate to make this story go away, because what bothers them, Alex, more than anything we've spoken about in this phone call, is a grassroots insurrection against big government Republicans and Democrats. That drives them nuts because the fact is, and you know this as well as I do, there's some people in the Republican Party that are friends to big government Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
They all sell out to the same
John Boehner?
Yeah, these people are not leaders. They just sell out to a different golden calf they kneel before. Either way, you've sold out. They're not bedrocked in real values. The fact that a grassroots rebellion in Virginia 7 could unseat the second most powerful man in Congress. Think about that. With no money, nothing, peanuts, a tip in a restaurant in donation terms for fundraising, that they could unseat him by double digits. These guys are running in fear. They will do anything to discredit Brad. You're going to see these stories every day. Brad pulled a girl's hair once in 8th grade. You're going to see it every day. And it just
remember the Democrats with Rand Paul when he won the primary? Oh, they went out and dressed up as hayseeds and said racist things on TV, and it turned out they actually worked for the Democratic Party.
Oh, that's all that's all they have, though. They don't have anything else. You know what bothers them most about Brad? He gets up there and he actually understands how the biggest form of taxation this country's ever seen is the Fed. He goes up there and explains, hey, folks, if you have $1 and I tax you 25 cents, I've taken 25 cents. You have 75 cents left. But if I go out there and I give you $1, right, and I tax away the value of it via inflation, and it's only worth 10 cents, I've taxed you 90 cents whether you know it or not. And he explains this in common sense economic terms. The left is like, wait, we can't have that information out there, folks. Information is dangerous unless we can lie to people about it.
Well, Dan, I got to say it. I mean, you're super articulate. You're a smart guy. Your book's already a bestseller. I mean, you would be perfect in Congress, and I don't want to have to knock on wood here, but, I mean, you were telling me during the break when we first got you on that things are going really well, but they could pull a lot of tricks. People need to get behind you in Maryland. They need to get behind every other true liberty-based candidate, and people could just hear what you're speaking. You're a whistleblower. You exposed Obama. I know you've gone through a lot of harassment. People need to pray for you and your family. Have you gotten any more harassment?
Yeah, it's always, one of our security cameras mess with. It's always something. It's always there, and I just roll with it. We all have to make sacrifices. I'm a believer in the second creation, and you pay your dues here. So I'm not worried about it. The fight's the fight. People have no one's as powerful as George III, right? So I'm not that worried about it.
It's funny that I go through some harassment as well, and I don't know what it is. You don't like to talk about it. It's just kind of like, yeah, it's going on. It's like you don't even want to give it attention that they're doing it. But it's important to show what scum these people are.
You know what? It is, and I don't, one, because I think it incentivizes more of it, and I have 2 daughters. But secondly, I'm 6'1", 215 pounds. I grew up boxing and wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was fighting with the Gracies when no one knew who they were. So I got a pretty thick skin. I got the facial scars and broken nose to prove it. So I'm not really worried about these bow tie wearing foie gras.
No, I get it. Absolutely. You're calling their bluff. Dan Bongino, Bongino.com. Folks can follow him on Facebook, going there and following it through. Thank you for the time, and I can't wait to call you Congressman here on the broadcast and turn this country around. Thank you so much for your courage.
Hey, got it, Alex. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to say it. There goes Congressman Dan Bongino. Folks, I'm telling you, they're going to try to pull a false flag to blame the Tea Party. Get ready for that. You know, I tend to get almost hysterical on air. And it's because I'm sitting here looking at what's happening, and it's not even my own analysis. The globalists admit what they're doing. They've done it in other countries before, but never as spectacular as they're doing it here. They are telling illegal aliens to come here and they can just stay and be given free welfare. And the border is just collapsing, and Border Patrol are on record saying they're collapsing it. They're not letting the media in. Obama is saying on CBS News, quote, Obama cites Australia's gun confiscation program as example for U.S., says he's preparing to act with executive order. I mean, that is ominous off the chart. I was talking about getting Larry Pratt back on this Sunday because I'm always getting Larry Pratt on, it seems, on Sunday. Maybe we should just get him on tomorrow because that can't wait. The head of Gun Owners of America. I mean, this is just making me sick at my stomach. I don't want to have to leave the U.S. I don't want to be in the middle of a civil war. I mean, are we really going to let them destroy our prosperity? Raise taxes to the point everybody goes bankrupt? I mean, really? Kill the country? Really? Really? Total NSA spying on the liberty movement. Criminals run free. Big banks launder the drug money. The brainwashing of our children everywhere. Social engineering. A giant political class out of control. Paramilitary police everywhere, pointed at the general public, working for the criminal class. And remember, police and military, you are the ones that are going to enforce for this scum. What a nightmare situation. And I'm not being negative. I'm trying to protect what's good in this world by being honest about what's happening in it. And it's not just rhetoric. It's not just we have a lot of proof. It's now flagrantly obvious they're doing everything they can to destroy this country out of pure hatred of what America once stood for. Ideals.
Is that what Napolitano was talking about years ago?
Ideals that were never fully realized, but ideals that scare them. You can point out all the problems of America. The issue is the ideals were revolutionary. The ideals were the Renaissance. The ideals were human empowerment. The ideals are dangerous to tyrants who want to run things through gangs and gangsterism, not through the free market of having the better ideas, being the more talented, being the more interesting. And you've had a lot of corruptions in the world, but that went on for a long time because the corrupt just wanted to run things, but they wanted prosperity because that gave them a bigger system to be proud of, a bigger cash cow that they liked because it was their system. The globalists are the worst, folks. They hate manly men. On record, they hate feminine women. They hate beauty. They hate power. They hate true honor. They hate people that are innately strong because they're a bunch of creepy globalists that got into power by being spiders, folks. And they don't like those of us that aren't scum. And they want to bring us down because they're scared of us, and they should be. Because historically, ancestrally, it is the good guys that bring them down every time. And they have a race memory to that. The criminal, the control freak, and its genetic line that's in all races, colors, and creeds, has a memory. It has an instinct of how to beat us. And it thinks that it can hide behind the complexity of the world, hide by the bigness of it, and hide behind the vestigial prosperity that's left over from freedom. And also they hide behind acting weak and liberal and supine, and they want to help you, and let's be friendly. You know, you should be guilty. You should prove you're nice. You should be altruistic. You should pay for the tens of millions of illegals and give them free everything, or you're not a good host. They use our goodness against us. And then you study the elite and the stuff they're into, it just runs from bad to worse. And you realize they are just these incredibly evil people who are epically bad. You look at Bill Clinton, epically bad. Hillary Clinton, epically bad. You look at the stuff the Rothschilds are into, epically bad. You look at the Rockefellers, just to talk about a demonic energy to do bad and to screw up societies and do horrible things. They're involved in everything. Everything. You look at George Soros and his life, and he is epically bad. I mean, you actually marvel, like John on the Isle of Patmos marveling at the Antichrist. You actually respect it and go, God, that's 80-something years of just from 14 years old on, just wrecking and hurting and doing horrible things and just persecuting and overthrowing and being remorseless and proud of it. Can you imagine going on 60 Minutes? You can pull it up on YouTube. They're always expunging it, but folks are always re-uploading it. Like if somebody has it, send us to it. I couldn't find it again about a month ago. He did a 60 Minutes interview, I think in like 99. And he goes, yeah, I helped round up Jews all over Romania, and I'm not ashamed of it. I just did what I needed to do. Yeah, big deal. Leslie Stahl interviewed him. And the reason I mention that is this is a guy coming after me. You know, his groups he funds are calling for me to be arrested or investigated. And I mean, and it's like, how weird is that? And I know I just keep bringing that up. It's so weird to have that sack of, oh man, I'll tell you, it's over the top that he could operate in this country. That this slime ball isn't in a prison. And he wants me destroyed. And you know what? He might win, folks. America might be that pathetic. I just don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, what have we become? I should be positive that we see pro-liberty, anti-Federal Reserve, Ron Paul types like David Bratt winning primaries when his competitor spent millions and millions and he spent $150,000. And you better believe the Justice Department is going over every donation. If they find a nickel that was improperly given, he'll go to prison, even though he has no criminal record. They don't care if you're as clean as a whistle, folks. They'll find something. And that's why we've now reached the point of anyone promoting liberty, if they haven't committed a crime against innocence, I don't care how much proof they've got, I'm done. This is a lawless group of scum. They are committing the crimes wholesale in front of everyone. And I'm sticking together with libertarians and paleo-conservatives and constitutionalists because the Republican Party has been an evil anathema of blue blood scum, just as bad as the Democrats for decades. But under Obama and the Clintons, they're making their move to get rid of all checks and balances, all opposition. So I would support an inanimate fire hydrant against the Democrats as the choice.
I think an awful lot of people think that we're less safe today than we were a week ago because these five guys are out.
These five guys are not a threat to the United States.
The point is that it was illegal what you did, and that's admitted. And so if you don't stop doing it or get in trouble, you're a dictator. That's the whole point. John, you popped in my ear earlier, and I kind of missed what you were saying.
I was just thinking back yesterday about how when I was just a listener, you were talking to, I believe it was Lindsey Williams, about Napolitano, who had told her friend to prepare the next 3 years for a gigantic natural disaster. Well, I think we're here. I think this is it.
And that was in Arizona, and she said it'll hit Arizona, and none of us knew what it meant. And the natural disaster is the inflow, inviting Latin America up, and then going, we've got to be sweet. It could be millions, not hundreds of thousands. And then the public's so dumbed down, they'll probably blame Rand Paul or me for the 15 million extra illegals. Yeah. You know, I was thinking, we've got to go get the Oliver North clips from the Rex 84 Iran-Contra hearings. Because if you read the Miami Herald about Rex 84 at the time in 86, when they had those hearings, 87, it says they would use an immigrant inflow emergency to bring in martial law, and I never understood how they would do that. And now I think Obama has pulled Rex 84 off the shelf. And of course, we've said 1,000 times here, no exaggeration, that they would use the illegals to prime the pump of the FEMA camps first, mentioning Rex 84. But no, I think you're right. I think we're now seeing it. Let's pull up the Napolitano article. Outgoing DHS Secretary Janet Napolitano warns of serious cyber attack, unprecedented natural disaster. And it was Lindsey Williams, 2 years before she said that she met with a congresswoman. And I guess I've kind of given it away now. I was saying the state. I can't keep track of all this anymore.
Right, and they had lunch.
Yeah, they had lunch.
And she said prepare. Yep.
Man, I'm just so sick of these people. And again, all I want is to have a free country, due process, checks and balances, right to be a father, right to have my basic rights, right to private property, right to Second Amendment. And you've got, that all the veterans have got. I mean, let's talk about who they're targeting. Returning veterans are the #1 enemy, public. And they're not running that in movies and sitcoms and dramas along with actual news for nothing. They're planning to come after you. And then they mention libertarians, constitutionalists, Christians. And they don't mean establishment, megachurch, glitterbug, Pharisee, cult Christians. They mean real Christians who aren't going to put chips in their kids. And by the way, that's all being announced like it's no big deal now. That's another thing. I tell people about plans to chip the public 18, 19 years ago, and people thought I was nuts. Now it's like, yeah, when will kids start getting chips to help them learn? I mean, it's just, well, we're going to help the troops that are depressed with brain chips, AP. There's just massive drug shootings, killings all over the border, 70+ thousand dead in Mexico, thousands dead on the U.S. border. But when, you know, when a couple Border Patrol get shot, it's just the back of the paper. But then when some clowns reportedly go kill some people, oh my gosh, it's Alex Jones's fault. He caused it because he says the Liberty Movement, don't go out and shoot cops offensively. Try to wake them up. Don't be part of this. The media is pushing this narrative that the Liberty Movement's going to kill cops to hope that that gets in your mind as a way to resist. You heard Bongino, former high-level Secret Service agent, say, yeah, I'm getting a lot of harassment, but I think it encourages it to admit it's going on and validates it. What was the term he used? He said encourage, but he said the equivalent of that. He said it validates it and encourages it. And that's 101. I mean, you don't have sitcoms, dramas, cartoons. The Liberty Movement's going to kill cops and drape them in flags, and then it magically happens. And like I said, it was staged either by the media promoting it to create a copycat off of a non-existent event, or it was staged. And they cut that up to have me saying, it is totally staged by Harry Reid. They'll probably play that clip. Because they're running an enemy operation. I mean, look, when they were given the authorization to come out and say that I was behind the Boston bombing and that I, quote, am deeply racist, close quote, in the same sentence, that was off a teleprompter, folks. That was authorized by the highest levels of the White House. They would never do that a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That means they're going all out. They will do anything to start this civil war, to shame the Tea Party. A new Oklahoma City to say, oh my gosh, he was a listener of Alex Jones. Remember McVeigh did it for Rush Limbaugh. Remember that? That was USA Today and New York Times, April 21st, 1995. I remember seeing it on the news. You folks can look it up. Rush Limbaugh, the day after, and it was in the paper the day after that, the day after Oklahoma City, Bill Clinton came out, there's audio of it, and said Rush Limbaugh and other talk radio with no proof. See how that works? And they did it. That's hands down. No. We know who put the bombs in the building. So you better believe that I suspect this Justice Department now, run by the very same person who was really running it back then. Janet Reno was such a drug addict when she was a prosecutor. You can look up the Florida papers, and I'm not going to even repeat all of it here. If you want to look into Janet Reno, it's incredible. Totally insane. Child molester. Oh, by the way, yeah, the Deputy Attorney General was running things, and that was the guy that's the Attorney General today, Eric Holder. We are our Las Vegas affiliate, other affiliates are saying, yeah, we're getting clearly organized calls to take you off the air, but we've never had more listeners, more support. We love you. Of course, we're not going to take you off. But our affiliates are calling going, we're getting organized calls to take you off the air. Well, of course they are. That's what they do. They can't intimidate me, so they're going to try to intimidate you. But this show is getting more affiliates. We just got another affiliate, 50,000 watt, in Boston. It was in the Boston newspaper last week. We're getting big affiliates all over the country every few days now. They're freaking out. And what are you going to do, put a bullet in me and make me a martyr, you scum? Don't you get it? I'm committed. I'm not afraid of you. I'm going all the way. You understand that? And so is everybody else. Man, I tell you, the folks that are going to get caught flat-footed by all this craziness, they have no idea what's about to hit this country. People are like, about to hit? We're already getting hit. No, folks. This is only the vanguard. This is only the enemy scout operation. When they drop the hammer, whew, they're crazy enough to do it, too. I know this, though. The Secret Service, almost to a person, absolutely hates Obama because they've seen all the stuff he's up to. And I haven't been told because I don't want to be killed. And these guys are smart enough not to talk about it. Bongino won't talk about it. I've talked to other Secret Service, current ones, you name it. And they just say they've never heard of anything like it, what's going on. Because there's like a crazy psychopathic criminal thing going on where when psychos and criminals aren't getting caught or in trouble, they act out to try to get caught. That's basic criminology, and that's what they're doing. Remember the FBI agent who they're now auditing and stuff? I forget his name. We've had him on the show years ago. I want to get him back on. The Western Journalism Center is supporting him. Farrah talked about him. He's got the Patrick Henry Center, I think is what it's called. He got the photos out of the crack pipes and Mao Zedong stuff they put on the White House Christmas tree. What type of mental patient gets off on defacing a Christmas tree like, ooh, it's nasty, it's dirty, I put crack pipes on the Christmas tree, and communist leaders like Karl Marx and Mao Zedong? These are mentally ill people, the type of folks that, you know, play with their crap. I mean, I'm sorry to have to talk like that, but these are sick freaks, folks. And the Secret Service and the FBI has to sit around. I mean, if Hillary Clinton was putting crack pipes on the Christmas tree in 1995, what do you think they're doing now? I mean, a Christmas tree's pretty regardless. What makes you want to go deface it? Why? Why? They're sick freaks. Oh, they want to rule us. Why does a psychopath want to grab a woman and tie her up and torture her for a month? Because they like to dominate people. They're bad. They're bad. I don't know how else I'm supposed to explain this to you. They're evil. Like the communists and the Nazis. Before I end this hour, we need your financial support. We sell great products. InfoWarsLife.com's got the X2 Nascent Iodine. It's just blown my mind and my body what's done. You can read all the health information, InfoWarsLife.com, see videos and more. It's truly, this type of iodine is a new discovery with the deep earth crystals. See the videos at InfoWarsLife.com. And don't forget, there's a Texas-based company owned by service-disabled U.S. Air Force veteran that we've gotten great reviews. They've been a sponsor for 2 years. Made in the USA, used by defense contractors in Afghanistan, police all over the USA, and by civilians who want to be prepared when the you-know-what hits the fan. Armor is still legal. Get it now. It's very well priced for what you get. InfidelBodyArmor.com. InfidelBodyArmor.com or 888-608-6605. InfidelBodyArmor.com. InfidelBodyArmor.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm firing myself up for a news blitz. I'm going to give the number out and take a few of your phone calls. The never before heard J.R. Tolkien. All right, there is part of a speech, part of an interview that J.R.R. Tolkien gave that no one's heard. We're going to air a few clips of it, and then it'll be doled out over the next few weeks, coming up in about 20 minutes. And actually have the quote here of what he says, and it's extremely interesting. He said, "I look east and west, and I look north and south, and I do not see a Sauron. But I see very many descendants of Saruman, and I think we hobbits now have no magic weapons against them. And yet, dear gentle hobbits,